The latest entry in the long-running Mission Impossible series has finally hit theaters, and my god, you need to see it. Marking the first time a director has returned to helm another movie in this series, the follow-up to 2015's Rogue Nation is easily the best in the franchise yet. Catching up with IMF agent Ethan Hunt after taking down the Syndicate in the previous movie, the new film opens up directly in the thick of it. Having apocalyptic dreams about his arch-nemesis Solomon Lane coming back to haunt him, it doesn't take long before Ethan Hunt is on the search for 3 plutonium cores, with the threat of nuclear destruction hanging in the balance. Of course, he's not alone, but helped by a team of returning cast members including Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, and Ving Rhames, and a newcomer in Henry Cavill. Of course, this is a Mission Impossible movie, so the actual meat and bones of the narrative ranges from the ludicrous to the downright insane. By now, though, the purposeful convolution, the rug pulling, and the general disinterest in obeying the laws of physics has become the franchise's bread and butter, but that doesn't mean this isn't a smart movie. The film is self-aware, but thankfully not in the poking fun at itself kind of way. It's less about making you laugh at how pretty much everything is an excuse to let Tom Cruise hang from a helicopter, but more of an invitation to properly lose yourself in the madness that's happening on screen. And yeah, it can still be a funny movie when it wants, but it isn't insecure with its silliness. In fact, it embraces it. And that's not just me projecting onto the movie either, but actually the crux of the rivalry between the IMF and the CIA in this flick. Multiple times, the IMF agents are ridiculed for being little boys who like to play dress-up, often avoiding the more simple, brutal solution to a problem, and that assessment is absolutely spot on. They get a kick out of the theatricality in pulling off faces to reveal it was them the whole time, and so does the audience, and the movie makes it clear that that's not a bad thing. For a film which could be criticized as being turn your brain off fun, it constantly makes sure you're paying attention, all the while knowing exactly what it's doing. And although the story is simply an excuse to string together a bombastic sequence of set pieces, don't worry, I'll get to them in a second, it does have a surprising amount of heart to it. Likewise, this is probably the deepest any movie in the series has actually delved into Ethan Hunt's psyche. Of course, this is all well and good, but it would be nothing if not for the one thing the Mission Impossible franchise has made its name on over the past few years, that being bombastic in-camera action set pieces. And judged on this alone, Fallout is easily the best in the franchise. From the word go, the film kicks into one inventive sequence after another, maintaining a sense of kinetic energy all the way through. And this is a 2.5-hour movie. You know how in other installments in the series there'd always be that one sequence that everybody told you you had to see, whether it was the wire hang in the original or the opera assassination in Rogue Nation? Well, this has about 5 of those? The score surprisingly plays into making these big scenes land as well, making everything feel grandiose and strangely apocalyptic. It's something which would usually be ancillary in a film like this, but combined with the lush cinematography and the brisk pace, it makes every sequence feel like a genuine ticking time bomb. McQuarrie knows exactly what he's doing, and while the sequences themselves are gorgeously choreographed, it's the way he uses the camera that makes them so breathtaking. Often shooting with long takes and rarely cutting to a close-up, McQuarrie makes sure you can see everything that's going on, which somehow makes the set pieces ambitious and bombastic, yet intimate at the same time. There's a sense of physicality and intimacy that keeps the action grounded at all times, even when a man is literally being hit by lightning while he base jumps into Paris. And they're not just asides either, but most of the story is actually told through these sequences, be it verbally or non-verbally. That's partly why they're so engrossing and affecting. They have real narrative weight and are perhaps the most consequential parts of the entire narrative as a whole. Consequently, it means the more ambitious set pieces are just as intense as the smaller ones, as everything has a purpose in some form. It also helps that a good chunk of the stunts were done in camera, with most of the cast doing their best to do as much as possible. In fact, newcomer Henry Cavill particularly excels here. There's an imposing sense of dread his mere presence brings to any scene, and when he reloads his arms, you believe that he could knock literally anyone's head clean off. His dialogue scenes, on the other hand, well, they're passable. They're okay. It's partly down to the lines he's given, but also partly the performance, which occasionally evokes the time he played a bad Superman for a little bit in the Justice League. Still, when he's not doing that, he pulsates with BDE, accomplishing more with his body than he ever can with his voice. Of course, though, the star here is Tom Cruise. Knowing that what you're seeing is really being done by a man who has admittedly seemingly stopped aging does make the action inherently more intense, but also opens you up to other feelings you didn't even know you needed to make an action set piece work. There's genuine suspense and threat, and when Cruise is hanging from an actual helicopter, you get a genuine sense of vertigo while he's doing it. However, what might go under the radar is just how impressive he is at non-verbal acting. He gets a lot to say in the movie for sure, but it's in the little nuances. For instance, when he knows he's completely shit the bed on a mission, or when he bumps into an old acquaintance in the despair that slowly creeps into his face, that really makes him shine in this flick. Cruise isn't simply the best action star at the moment because he does his own stunts, but because of the character he can convey whilst he's doing them. Despite showering it with constant praise though, the film isn't perfect, but then what is? At 2.5 hours, the movie is long, and while it never really drags, a shorter runtime might have been beneficial to maintain that blistering momentum that it has at the beginning and the end. As mentioned, Henry Cavill can be a little bit spotty as well, and if you're not into pulpy spy stories that revel in their ridiculousness, then there'll only be like, what, 2 scenes that you won't be rolling your eyes at. Also, the lack of any real identifiable villain towards the end of the movie won't be to everyone's taste. Still, Fallout has taken Mission Impossible to the next level, which is insane considering this is the 6th movie in the franchise that has spanned over 20 years. Hell, it's arguably the best action film since Mad Max Fury Road. I know, it is that good. Not only is it technically accomplished, but there's a pervasive sense that everyone involved is really trying their best, and it gives the movie a heart, which is quite surprising considering this is about a man who has literally died twice in this franchise already. So that's what I think of Mission Impossible Fallout, but what the hell do I know? I can't probably even pronounce the title right. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Did you enjoy it as much as me, or is there something lacking for you? Either way, if you could give us a like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day, that would be awesome. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, you've been watching What Culture, and I'll see you soon. Bye.